Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee Run Live. It is I, Nicola Morass, joining you for what is a really weird, I think it's Wednesday. I think it's Happy Hump Day. It's looking like it's going to start raining out here. It's just a little, it's looking a little bleak. But I don't know if, I just saw a post up here earlier where there's quite a few people who said that they're feeling a little bit more positive in light of all the stuff that's going on. Where are you guys at? Are you feeling like that as well? Have you been, have you kind of come to this thing where it's like, okay, well, you know what, you've adjusted. I think this is a really interesting thing with new situations. It's the same when you start a new job. It's the same if you have, when you have a baby. It's the same when you've got a new puppy or another new pet. We go through this time of adjustment, right, where it feels really heightened. And then it kind of seems to settle down and it does become a little bit of a new normal. I guess one of the things that I've been talking to people about, and this came up actually on Friday in an online event that I ran for clients who were supposed to be up here actually, we were talking about the tragedy of actually, getting bored, right? And I think this is the thing that we find as things start to settle in. Hey, Amanda. As things start to settle in, as things do start to now feel normal, we start to think a little bit more. So one of the things, I want to show you a picture that I drew on Friday. It's a really amazing piece of art. If I see this go up anywhere on the internet without my explicit permission, I will be very, very annoyed. Can you guys see that? I'm going to assume that you can see that. So this is a picture of your brain. It is a very amazing, amazing brain picture, as you can see. So with our brains, when we're experiencing something new, when we're learning something new, what happens is we tend to use, you can't see it in orange, but we tend to use the majority of the chunks of our brain. And this is why we are so freaking tired. When you've been at home and you're now working from home, which, you're a badass if you're doing that. And I've got a whole new thing that I want you guys to do if that is you. When we're using all of the parts of our brain to process, to focus, to try and adjust to a new environment, it's going to be tiring and exhausting. But then what happens is that we end up, the more we get used to it, you end up only using one chunk of your brain, or 1 to 2 chunks of your brain. So if you and your concentration and your energy. So if you think about the time when you very first learned how to drive a car and you got in the car for the first time and you're sitting there and you've got the pressure of someone sitting either to your left or to your right, depending on where you learn to drive. You're sitting in your car and you're like, holy shit, I've got the indicator, the windscreen wipers, the accelerator. What do these buttons do? I've got to look at the rear view mirror. I've got my side mirrors. I've got the park brake. Do I have to go into gears? Like, what does the P mean? What do all of these things mean? And then as you start to drive off, not only do you have to be aware of everything that is in your vehicle and try and have the dimensions right and understand that if you go to park, you've got all of these things. You've also got all of these other people on the road, the motherfuckers. And so how do you trying to stay away from all of those, trying to stay in your lane? If you hear that you're driving and it's like dunk, 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 you know that you're probably going over those lane markers, right? And it can all be incredibly overwhelming. You get out of that car. This is true for me. I got out of that car, I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking exhausted. That was so taxing. What a lot of you have found yourselves is in that moment. And I think that's why I've seen some posts going around today and yesterday where people are starting to feel a little bit more calm because all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but we're starting to get used to this like new normal, this new way of being and whether, the way that we've been forced to adjust ourselves. Now, what we're doing is that you're actually finding that you're using less chunks of your brain. So that's that. But I think the other thing that's really, really important to consider is that, if you relate this back to your content. So when you first start putting out content for your audience, you're going bang, 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 bang. You're probably a little bit overwhelmed. You're thinking, I've got to do posts and videos and text and picture quotes and live streams and blogs. And, I've got to email and I've got to work out how to do a funnel and I've got to work out how to build out a landing page. Membership site, how the fuck do I do that? You've got all of these things that are rolling through your head. Once you've got those things nailed, then the next thing that can happen is that you can start to get a little bit bored with your messaging. Now, I know this was true for me when I wrote Visible, the book, going back at the start. I just started at the end of 2017, finished it in around April, I think, 2018. And then it went through the editing process and then the proofing process and then getting the proof copy and then book design and, all the rest of that, like so many decisions. I didn't have that book in my hand until October 2018. And I was like, all right, this is great. I'm freaking bored of talking about this thing, but I've got to ride the wave. I've got to find ways to be inventive and to have fun and things like that when it comes to my book Visible, which is still going really well, actually. I'm still getting a lot of press inquiries about it. It's still going really well. It's actually a timeless book. There's not much in there that is there's actually nothing in there that is time specific because it's all built around human behavior. But the thing for me is like I've had to look at different ways over the last 2 years. So I wrote the first draft 2 years ago, finished the first draft maybe coming close to 2 years ago. And I've had to look at different ways of reinventing the message, of finding a way for me to be able to re-engage with it, right? Because I got over here in this one chunk and it was all just kind of like, it felt like I was like operating a little bit on rote. Right? So I guess the thing that you want to have a look at is how can you re-energize, refuel what it is that you're doing. So that's the topic of today's live stream. So this is going to be fun. So what I want you to have a think about is first and foremost, what are the things that entertain you? Okay, and I think one of the easiest ways to consider this and to think about this for me is like looking at music clips, for instance. So I'm a huge fan of like music television. So whether it's on Foxtel, whether it was Rage as a child, not so much Rage, there was another one that was out, I can't remember the name of it, but it was always like, I've always loved watching music videos, particularly the ones that are a bit more theatrical, right? That'll surprise the socks off you, I'm sure. So like you look at Taylor Swift, there's a whole story that goes through the music clip that overlays the music, the song. And you've got Katy Perry, Robbie Williams, these people, Madonna, these people who are just like freaking badasses, but they kind of, with each song, there's like a mini story that goes around each song. So for your content, some of the things that you want to think about is, okay, well, if I was to think of like an overarching theme or an overarching story, what would that be? And then what story could you tell around one concept? Okay, and with a bit of theatre and a bit of drama. So one of the things that you can really think about to make this even easier for you is to go video hits. That's it, Rebecca. I'm like, I could picture, was it on channel 7 or channel 10? I could like picture the V, and I'm like, it's not channel V. That's not what I'm trying to think about. It was video hits. Thank you, my friend, if that was going to annoy me. So one of the things that you can do is actually take a little bit of time and sit down and go, all right, what movies do you like? What music do you like? What kinds of books do you like to read? Like in terms of the genres, what really excites you? What do you love? Do you love data? Do you love the science behind things, or detective shows and detective movies and things like that? And then once you've kind of worked out what sort of theme you like, I want you to go deeper and go, okay, well, why do I like that stuff? For me, one of the big things that I've loved and I've always loved is this whole, costume change thing. So on stage shows, I love the shit out of that. And then you've got the spy movies, right? Or the spy TV shows. Some of you will remember the TV show Alias that went for quite a few seasons, and it had Sydney Bristow in it and Vaughn, and Sydney Bristow was the female actress Jennifer Garner, and she would have costume change after costume change after costume change, like maybe 10 in a whole episode, depending on what villain she was fighting or, what area she had to go in. And there was wigs, there was different outfits. It was like so fun. And so I'm like, I love that whole secret agent thing. I love adrenaline, in terms of the hobbies. Think about your hobbies. And, I guess like what this does for you is it gives you another way of creating a bit of a theme around what it is that you do. So one of my clients, her thing is all around adventure, getting out and doing things differently and exploring new things, not necessarily new to human things, but new to her things. So she loves going like dirt biking and hanging off the sides of cliffs and these crazy hikes. And I'm just like, you're even more badass than anyone I've ever met. She's ridiculously amazing. So it's like, how can you create the stories around a concept that you might be talking about and build some theater and drama and a story that might talk into adventure? You could say, when you're dealing with anxiety, one of the best things that you can do is get out into nature. In fact, there was this time where you did this, and then this is where you are now. So what giving yourself the beautiful gift of a theme does for you is it helps you to provide a bit of a different kind of perspective on something. Now, that could be the very thing that captures people's attention. That could be the very thing that has people go, whoa, this chick's like a mountain biker. What the hell is that all about? For me, it's roller derby. I love roller derby. So I know that at different times, if I might talk about that, then it helps people to go, oh yeah, I can kind of understand that a bit more conceptually, rather than it being just the straight out dissemination of information. So I think that's really important. So that's the main thing that I wanted to talk to you about today, is creating a theme around the stuff that you're doing. The other thing that I really wanted to talk into is still in the topic of content, but it's just, you don't have to have all of this shit figured out today. The thing that I really strongly encourage you all to do is to get out there and be marketing and telling your stories and talking to your audience. So I wrote in my journal today, and I was like, what is it that what do I feel like you guys need to hear? That was the first thing. And I just thought, I think the thing that you guys all need is, and the encouragement to do is to, number one, is to get out there and show up, but also show up if it's really scary for you to show up. And for a lot of you, it is. Come from that place of vulnerability. Let your people know. So if you're going to go on as a live, or if you're going to start posting, just level with them. Do it. We call it a cleanup letter or a cleanup post. This is what I like to do, an admission post. And the thing that I would do is get out there and say, hey, you guys, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit raw and vulnerable. I haven't done this before. I haven't spoken to you for a really long time. These are the things that are going on in my world. And really what my commitment to you is, to keep showing up, and then talk about your area of expertise. People, particularly at the moment, there's a lot of grace going around. All right. So if you're talking about the different things that you're finding challenging, if you're talking about the things that you're working through, if you're talking about the fact that, it's your mission on earth to show up and to help these people, then if you're letting them know that that's how you're feeling and you're feeling really compelled to share, and it's really important for you to do that. If you haven't emailed your database for a long time, and I know some of you land in this boat here, if you haven't emailed them, send them an email saying, hey, you know what, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that I have not been emailing you. I'm really sorry that I haven't been posting. I've just been navigating this weird ass thing that we're all going through. And before that, I just didn't feel like I could do it. Whatever the truth is for you. Far too often, people, business owners, content marketers, people out there, they get really caught up with feeling like they have to have all of their shit together online, and that they can't possibly be vulnerable, and that you can't possibly be honest, and you can't possibly, create content and things like this. And you can. I think the big thing though is to really just level with your people, and the best policy, as we've always taught our children, honesty is the best policy. So if you're coming from that place, if you're coming from a place of serving, then let them know that they're in for a really great ride. So your job is to show up. We don't know how long this new normal is going to be happening for, right? We don't know how long this is going to go on for. Hey, Jess, it might be a month, it might be 3 months, it might be 6 months. Fuck, who the hell knows? So the thing that you can't do is go, well, I'm just going to come back when the shit show's over. Well, that is certainly an option. And if that's really what feels aligned for you, then maybe do that. Alternately, what you can look at doing is going, okay, what is it that I can share today? What can I do today to help you and to help your audience? So we talked yesterday about things being good for you, good for them, and good for the greater good. So the way that you want to do that is by, just going, all right, what do I need to do? I know for me personally, and a little hack that I think will be helpful for you too. I always feel better in myself, my mental health, my anxiety is always lower when I come off doing a live stream, for instance, when I come off a coaching call, when I come off doing a training, anything like that, whenever I'm giving and I'm not doing these things, I expect that some of you will buy some of my stuff sometime in the future, but I'm not doing it only for that. Sometimes me showing up live is purely selfish, right? Because I know it helps me. I also know it helps you, but sometimes the motivation for me actually showing up is to help me, to help my mental health, to help the people. Because I know for me, when I'm in service, when I'm in giving mode, it always, it comes back tenfold. Not always, we don't always know when it's going to come back in the terms of finances, in terms of engagement, in terms of sales, in terms of likes or whatever it is. Like you don't know who's listening. You don't know who they're sharing your stuff with. And I think the biggest thing that you can do is say, you know what, I don't know when this is going to pay off, but I know that it will. And you've just got to keep showing up. So a double whammy today for you. So we've got not only the how to create a little bit more excitement when you're feeling really with your content, but we've also had this, just be fucking vulnerable. Just get out there and share what's going on for you, and do the freaking best that you can. Right? Show up and do all of those things. So, the thing that we know is that this will change. Times will change. There's like a really big kind of flick in the way that the world is, but then it will settle down, a bit like a pendulum, right? We've swung so far the other way that we'll come back and we'll resettle in. So your job is just to keep showing the hell up. So that's that. If you need help with getting all of this stuff done and you've got a little bit of resources that you can use, not only time, but a little bit of finances, maybe the All Access Pass is helpful for you. It's $99. You can jump in and you can jump into any of the courses that I've got on my membership site. You just need to let me know what you want and I'll make that available to you. So $99, $199 gets you VIP access to me as well for the month. And it's a monthly thing. You can jump in and jump out whenever it is that you want. So I was kind of thinking that it's almost like an all-you-can-eat thing, right? Where you've got this big buffet of stuff and you can decide, yep, I want that. No, I don't want that. I want this. I don't want that. I'll have double helpings of that. Thank you very much. So it's just like, how can I was saying before about being of service is the thing that really helps me no matter what. Then this was the thing. I was like, how can I help you guys in the best way possible? And this is what I came up with. If you're after a little bit more personalization, we do have the 30-day challenge that is kicking off on Monday. That is 6 a.m. Sydney time. We'll go for an hour, so you will know what your 90-day plan is. You'll know what your 30-day plan is. You'll know what your weekly plan of action is, and you'll know exactly what it is that you need to do every single day. And then you'll have the accountability the next day where I'm like, okay, you said you were going to do this. Did you get that done? How did you go with that? So that's happening at 6 a.m. Sydney starting Monday. Hey, Ainsley, good to see you live, my friend. Let me know if you need the information on that. I will post it in the comments once we hop off here. So all access, super cheap. And we've also got the 30-day challenge kickstarting on Monday. I personally can't wait for it. The thing that has saved my ass more and more times than I can possibly count is routine. It's having these little incremental things to work towards, to tick off, so that I can, you know, create what it is that I really want to create. So there you go, my friends. Any questions about anything, please let me know. I can't wait to help you in whichever way, shape or form that is. Meanwhile, go get yourself out there. Ainsley, yes, this is live right now. Oh, it's 2:30 a.m. Why are you awake? You crazy lady. That's insane. So get out there, go help some people, have a whole ton of fun doing it. And remember, the world is ready, more than ready, for your brand of awesomeness. Take care, everyone, and I will talk to you tomorrow.